would be one advice or one takeaway from your own journey that you will give to these females who are daring, who are envisioning, who wants something beyond maybe their own imagination?
I know it sounds so cliche, know your why. Because if you don't know your why and you're trying to achieve something big and important for yourself and you don't enjoy the process, you will probably close that project. Knowing your why and being able to enjoy that will keep you going.
So, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Today we have Joyce from Guilt-Free Food Singapore. Yay! Welcome, Joyce. How are you?
Thank you. It's been great because I always look forward, my off day.
Today is the off day and we got you here.
No. It's my off day from my kitchen, right? So I wanted to take a break from the oven, and this is my break here, and I love chatting with you. So you're giving me a very good reason to get out of the shop, because otherwise I'll be like, slowly making my way into the shop and start doing stuff, which I don't want to. I just want to have a little break from there.
Good. They say once you have a break, you can walk a longer distance, isn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Cool. Let's find out a little bit more about you. Could you share with us a little bit about yourself and what were you doing before you start Guilt-Free Food Singapore?
So about 6 years ago, I came back from Hong Kong. I was working in Hong Kong for 12 years. So I was holding a title of a head of marketing for Asia Pacific, and I was retrenched. So that was not nice. It caused like a little big bruise on my end. And I came back mainly because it was a great opportunity, because I've got two young kids, 7 and 9 years, now 7 and 9, but back then they were less than a year old and going to 3.
Okay.
So I wanted them to come back to Singapore to know that there is this part of a Singaporean in them, and being closer to my family, that's very important. So I came back and thinking that I could find a corporate job.
Okay.
But, life didn't happen in that perspective. It was interesting because I wasn't a baker, but now I am a baker, and I have a shop called The Guilt-Free Food at Teluk Kurau, and I specialize in cinnamon rolls. It was an unexpected journey of mine. I remember, those were the years back in secondary school, you have this home economic class, right?
Oh, sorry. That reveals your age. My age, my era.
But you know what? I enjoy it. But I never had a chance to do baking, because in my family, it's a typical Chinese family. So we don't have an oven. But I remember those memories, like, having to bake cookies or cake or whatsoever. And I enjoy those moments. Then, of course, when I went to Hong Kong, the kitchen, house, everything is just so small. And I came back, I remember there was an oven sitting in the kitchen. It was a rented place. My eldest daughter then was 2.5, and it was nearing to her birthday. And she asked me, say, "Mama, can you bake me a birthday cake?" Being a mom, I said, "Of course, I can bake." I swear I would never do that if I'm going to revisit, that part of my life. Because first and foremost, I went to Phuong Huat and spent almost $400 worth of ingredients. And
For a birthday cake, Joyce, what were you thinking?
But you see, you can't buy like a small pack of flour, because I haven't baked, since home economics class. So obviously I have to buy more things just in case, experiment 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever, fail. So maybe the experiment 10, I succeed. So I still remember so I managed to, but after a lot of tears and a lot of sweat, because Singapore is so hot, it's so difficult to pipe the cake. Then I have a lot of leftover ingredients. And then my husband, he's half Italian, half Canadian. He said, "Hey, why don't you try baking a cinnamon roll?" He had a craving, and he said, "Why don't you try baking a cinnamon roll, since we can't find a cinnamon roll in Singapore?" And I tried, and it worked. And it's so interesting because I have never baked a bread before. And it was because when you bake a bread, you got to use yeast. I've never experimented that. So you look at it, you go like, oh my God, this is so difficult and complicated. But when I, actually do it and I realized, oh, I could do it. So that kind of rolled out the entire journey where I am right now, being a entrepreneur, handling a bakery at Teluk Kurau. And so for 4.5 years, I was actually doing home baking. So I transited from home baking to the shop about 2 months ago. And about 3 weeks ago, I had my grand opening. It was a big success.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All thanks to, having a very supportive community, whether it's a personal or is it a business, that is the core ingredient, to opening up a business.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I'm curious. Guilt-free food. Where did it come from? You know why? Remember the first time you sent me the box of cinnamon roll, then I went to visit you and I said, because it's guilt-free, I can have more. So it's the psychological part of it. It's guilt-free, no problem, Cass. Go on and eat. Is it marketing or where did it come from?
Okay, there are two sides of it, okay. Back when the days I was still working in Hong Kong, there was one part of me, I wanted to set up my own business. And I felt like, I am very tired of corporate because I thought I'm not contributing back to the society. And so I saw this concept, the snack box that people, would just subscribe. Subscription was a big thing. And I thought, what if I can do a healthier concept, for a snack box? So I call it the fresh food snack box. And my husband and I, then, we were brainstorming like what kind of brand name that we can give it to, this business. So, and I say, it's guilt-free. And he goes like, why don't you just call it guilt-free food? And I was like, oh, wow, I love it. So it started off with this concept about, fresh food snack box that people can eat, once a week or twice a week, as a alternative, like, going to Cha Chan Tang and eat the ball of bao, which is full of sugar and full of butter, and not even good butter to begin with. And that's how the whole idea of guilt-free food come about. And I've always been interested in nutrition. So back when the days in Hong Kong, I even took up a diploma on food and nutrition.
Oh, okay.
And then it didn't happen because eventually I got pregnant and I have a baby, and we decided that, a stable income is more important. So I went back to corporate. Then I got retrenched, I came back, and we're trying to find a job. I couldn't find a job. That was just months before COVID happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I still remember and I got panicked because after almost 1 year not being employed, I say, I need to find a job. I need to find something because, the bank account, you see the dwindling.
Depleting, right?
Yeah, it gets panicky because I've got 2 young kids then.
Yep, totally
Still they're young. So I decided that I set up my own consultancy doing digital marketing. So I went back, taking up classes, trying to connect people, trying to find clients. And I had 2 food clients under my portfolio then, but COVID happened. It was crazy. The food business was the one that suffered the most because everything is present, There's no online. Basically, everything is offline. You go to the shop, you eat, and you come out. So I said, don't worry, let's see what we can do. So I was testing out, different platform, digital platform. And but I didn't want to use their name because some of them seems kind of iffy. And I said, oh, I got, the guilt-free food from Hong Kong. And at the point of time, I keep baking cinnamon rolls for my family. I say, let's put them together. So guilt-free food was born in Singapore because I was testing the market. But there's a legit side of it. My bakes has always been lower in sugar because being a mother, you're very conscious about, what ingredients you put into the food.
Yep.
Lesser sugar, better premium, fat, and making sure that, there's more nutrients, in the food that you feed to the kids. So I put everything together, test out the market, and guess what? People buy from me. Crazy. The first time when I had that bank transfer as a payment for my cinnamon roll, and I go like, what am I going to do? And I told my husband, I say, people buying from me. This is pretty surreal. and he said, just bake. And I still remember, I said,
I like the way he said, just bake. He's so practical. Got money, bake.
And I said, okay. So I remember that was Easter, right? That was 5 years ago, Easter time. And I've got an order of 6 cinnamon rolls, 10 inches. That was how I began. And I was trying to plan my timing because I only have one baking pan. So one baking pan, which means if each baking pan takes me about 4 to 5 hours, so I got to work backward. So I wake up at 12 midnight and I bake all the way until 12 noon just to churn out that 6 baking pan, 6 10 inches cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was so tired. I was lying on the bed. My husband was having a Zoom call. And then he looked at me, what's going on with you? I said, I'm tired. Baking is so tiring. And man being man, what's your bottleneck? It was a pain point. I said, the pain point was I don't have the baking pan. I only have one. And he said, go down to that shop, the shop that you like to hang out. go buy your stuff. I said, okay. But it was like, after 12 hours of baking, that was the last thing I wanted to do. But I dragged my ass out of, the bed and I went down at Sims Place. I remember standing in the queue under the hot sun. Remember that time COVID has got this thing, quota, right? You cannot just suck up, go inside. You don't go in just like that.
Or something like that, right?
The distancing, yes, exactly. So I remember, I was waiting like 1.5 hour under the hot sun. Finally, I got in. I found the last 3 baking pan. Grab it. Best $100 spent. That launched my entire career.
Wow.
Isn't it weird? Live kind of pivot from a very corporate person, because my mom raised me as a corporate thinking person, because all she wants me to do is like go and study hard, get a corporate job in an office, get cushy, get comfortable. Don't slog like her because she's a hawker. The last thing she wants me is to be a hawker, honestly. As any parent would do. They say that
most parents.
Find a better alternative in life.
Yeah.
And but now she look at me, I'm at the shop 14 hours minimally. She didn't say anything. She's very supportive. Like, she will put in effort to brew me soup and bird nest and say, oh, you got to nourish, otherwise you will age, you got to keep your energy high.
It's interesting because she was a hawker and she wanted you to be in corporate.
Yes.
Yet now you made a choice to start guilt-free food.
Yes.
Dishing out cinnamon rolls.
Yes. It's interesting. She
you
never
believe in
stopped
DNA? Because maybe when you were young, you saw her, right, being a hawker.
Yeah.
And she was cooking. Maybe it was hard. But within her, you probably saw fulfillment and contentment. Maybe that's what drives you within. Would you say?
Very interesting, because it's so subdued. So my grandma is actually on fishmonger.
Oh, okay.
So my grandma will actually at the wet market, which is on the ground floor, selling fish, right? And then my mom, after helping her, would go up to the second floor, which is a hawker center at Hong Lim. And she would do her stuff. That scene, I still remember as a young child, we would go there to hang out at, the wet market. And then after that, we will go up to the hawker. It never leaves, it becomes part of my core memory. And I still remember growing up, I am kind of entrepreneur in that sense. I don't know whether you guys remember, how hot eBay were.
Yep.
I mean, yeah,
those
they
days.
were the eBay, all the different international accounts, they were like so hot. And I would just go online to buy stuff, and I'll auction it. And if I auction it off with a good price and the item is, maybe I don't quite like it, I will sell it off and I'll auction. So I have a buyer and a seller account. And I still remember buying stuff from, this is going to reveal my age. There is this place that is a cheap clothing, it's called This Fashion.
Yep.
So I'll buy those stuff, right? because the Asian fashion is very different from the American fashion. And there were a group of people who goes after the Asian fashion in the States. And I will actually take photo and I put it online and start selling it.
There you go.
And it will go.
Wow.
Yes. So, and I was into vintage fashion as well. So I will buy boxes and boxes. I don't know what is in that. So I'll just, buy and I receive the thing and I'll see, things that I like and I'll just put it aside. And whatever that is not being sold, I will sell it in the local auction space that is Yahoo.
Oh.
So at that time, at that time, it wasn't about entrepreneurship. It was just like, I just want to make extra money, to fund my other stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was, now I think it back, I felt like, yes, from my parents, my grandparents' generation kind of instilled that transaction, as a business, their own business owner. And it flowed over to the days in eBay and Yahoo auction. And of course, eventually I went to, work. But even when I was working, I was still doing all this, selling and buying, online at the site. But it wasn't a major thing because I'm quite a workaholic then. So I spent a lot of time, working. But I think at one stage of my life, I felt that I wanted something more fulfilling. That fulfillment actually comes in when you are able to talk to your customers and being able to get feedback and understanding, their pain points and trying to improve and trying to provide a need, for them. And I guess, that kind of road, from my childhood to now. And because my mom, my family, my maternal family is a Cantonese, so my mom played a lot of emphasis on nutrition, food and nutrition.
Yam tong,
yes.
Drink soup.
Yes.
Drinking soup.
And I guess at the point of time, I don't appreciate that because I think it was just weird, to put weird ingredients into the soup and you just drink it. But when I moved to Hong Kong, I realized that nutrition actually plays such a big part in my energy. And I start to appreciate, and that's where, I find myself, being curious about what I put into my body or put into my food and put into my body.
Wow. You can't actually see all this forward, right? You can only see it when it happens and then you look backwards. Just now you mentioned something and I picked it up. You said there was so much fear in you, Joyce, right? When you were out of job for a year and then you are going to start guilt-free. What sort of mindset? What do you need to brace yourself with so that you kind of get that fear out of the way and then move forward with something you might be convicted or might not be convicted then because you didn't have the results, right?
Yeah.
But yet, you took the action anyway. So what was going on? What was the mindset or the attitude or belief?
I always think that fear exists for a good reason. And fear gives you the stress, as all of us know. And the stress is actually much needed to push yourself to the next level. And I'm glad there was a certain fear instilled in me. It makes me feel that I need to think of ways. I was very lucky to be able to, go to Hong Kong to work for 12 years. And I see how creative, these people from Hong Kong. And at the point of time, when I came back without a job and being out of, job for a year, it makes me feel like I need to do, I'm very goal-oriented. So when I fix a goal, I would think of all sorts of ways. So I remember at a point of time when I was trying to find something, I went on to a 3-pronged strategy. So I was doing my digital marketing, at the site. I was actually helping, a few clients pro bono so that I can gain more experience. And I was still trying to find a job. But baking came along and I chose baking. So I guess fear is something that you have to embrace it, but you have to look at it in a healthier manner. You cannot just, it's a very natural thing that, when you see fear, you will tend to run away. But what if you can stand up and face the fear and try to find, the various solution? And that was what I did. Yeah.
Sounds like the fear propels you to be resourceful.
Yes.
The fear that you had, you allow it to fuel you to take action instead of being paralyzed by it.
Yes.
Right? So guys, this is something we can learn. So when you have fear, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. You can allow it to fuel you forward.
Yes.
Cool. Really, really cool.
Actually, if I may also add on, I remember when I was home baking and I went viral, 8 Days I actually wrote about, this huge article about me, about my cinnamon rolls and how good it is. And orders start streaming in. And we are talking about hundreds of orders.
Wow.
And I know I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I could just sit there and cry, and say, I'm not going to do it. I did cry a little bit because I was overwhelmed. I was still doing my digital marketing. I was still servicing the client. I was still trying to make sure that my kids are surviving, feed them and everything. And there was homeschooling. I was running on a 1 to 2 hours of sleep every day.
Oh, wow.
And I was trying to churn out the bakes. I was frightened. I didn't know what to do. So I calmed myself down and really, I think, when you have fear, you will feel, kind of confused. I don't know what to do, which is a priority. Being a mom, one good thing about, being a mom is that the superpower is priority. You prioritize things, you don't do everything at one go. And of course, I took that superpower of mine,
Apply it here.
and applied to my business. So one thing at a time, I got in help, and sort out everything. And eventually, I managed to sort out that 700 over orders.
Wow.
Yes.
700.
But after maybe half a year or something like that.
Wow.
No, maybe not half a year, a good long time. So at one time, my waiting list was 3 months.
Good things are worth waiting for. Especially good food. Especially guilt-free good food. Okay, now maybe let's talk about what are the biggest 3 challenges you have overcome or still overcoming in starting guilt-free food.
Learning how to let go.
Okay.
I think learning how to let go is very important, especially when you run your own business. Everything is like your baby. You cannot let go because you have to treat everybody the same way. But no, I mean, it's so important that you know what sells, what don't sell. And if something doesn't sell, even though it's your favorite recipe or favorite thing to do, you just have to let go. Because once you let go and able to streamline, you will scale up even better, higher. And that is so important. I mean, it's not just about me and my recipe, right? So, like for example, there are certain things that I want to do. I think it's very important because I have a background in marketing and I think I need to go, this is A to Z. But if you don't have the resources, financially you don't have the resources or even, the man-hour to put into it, just let go and do what is important.
Letting go.
Yes, letting
That's
go.
quite an important lesson, isn't it?
Yes.
And one would not think that you have to apply this in a business, starting a business and maintaining a business. More of letting go is usually in the context of relationship or, hobbies or children, right?
Yeah.
Raising children. But wow, you bring it up in the context of building a business.
And then the second thing I would say, never stop learning. The world just changes too fast. Look, I am so old that I still remember the good old days, advertisement only appeared on newspaper.
Joyce, I think you're saying too much in this interview, revealing how old you are, how young you are.
So never stop learning, okay? And there are many, many organizations out there, willing to impart that kind of skill set or that kind of trends or whatever. Take the opportunity, give yourself the time to upgrade yourself. In a changing world like that, some of the older things doesn't apply anymore. You just have to keep up with, the things that what your customer wants, not what you want. I think a lot of time we are so immersed into the business, you think that this is what I want and this is what I want to execute. But no, what customer wants and how you want to fulfill the wants.
Being clear about its customers' priority rather than your priority.
Yes.
It sounds like, letting go was the first and, constantly learning. But actually in between that sounds like, letting go about my importance in this equation of running a business, right?
It is.
Sounds like that.
Right.
What would be the third thing?
Know your numbers.
Okay, I can learn. I can learn from this. I can definitely relate.
I open up my spreadsheet. I go like, I don't know what is it talking about. But you need to learn basic stuff. You don't need to be an expert like, you need to know your EBITDA or whatever. No, you need to know how you derive your profit. And that's the most important things. And knowing, what helps you to push up the profit. So that's the whole thing about letting go of certain things to push up your profit. So knowing your numbers is very important. Otherwise, it's going to be a big challenge. You may have very high revenue coming in, but you don't know how much you spend, and that's the death of your business.
Now that you summarize the three biggest challenges, right? Letting go, continuous learning, and know your numbers, right? It sounds like they were not easy for you from the beginning, right? You have to learn. What would you say are your mindset that you need to shift, or you have something you need to learn so that you can overcome these three challenges? Attitudes, mindset, skills.
Yeah. Growth mindset. That's so important. I mean, look, I was a head of marketing and I would assume that, I know everything about marketing. No, never assume, because there's so many changes happening every day. I take it as, every day is a learning opportunity. As simple as, say for example, right? I still remember the time when I wanted to set up my, my shop, just a couple of months ago. And because my shop is not road facing, said all the more, I need to look at ways to generate that kind of publicity to, reach out to the neighborhood. And if you think very egoistically that you know everything, then that's not good, because you don't know the neighborhoods, you don't know the flow. So why don't you approach somebody out there who is already in business, ask them, how can I actually generate more awareness? How can I, generate more, publicity touch points, so that your customer will know where you are. So always take the attitude of a student. They go into a place, the objective is to learn. So I always use that to remind myself, I know not all of the things. I know some of the basic stuff. I can always absorb new things. So I keep talking to people and try to find out, what are the ways to actually to make my store, the hidden store, more visible to everyone.
Sounds like staying open, staying curious.
Yes.
Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Staying curious, yeah?
Staying curious every time, every day.
And never assume that I know it all.
Actually, can I also tell you?
Please.
When I was home baking, so my main source of business comes from the e-commerce, and hardly I will actually see my customers, except that when they come over to pick up. But usually when you pick up, you just maybe you chat for at the most 5 minutes and you go. So you don't really get a lot of insights from the customers. But when I start going to pop up, because as soon as COVID, this circuit breaker starts, finished, I actually went to pop up and I started meeting customers in person and start talking to them, start looking at their body language, start looking how they taste the thing. And I learned so many things, because at a point of time, I thought my menu was perfect. I was happy with my menu. Hell no, it wasn't the case. Because I met all these customers, I was able to refine my menu and curate, different kind of things to put under the menu. And right now, I am so ready when I open up my store. But this doesn't mean that that is a final menu. As I speak with, these people, I was continuously, refining it. But it's already giving me a head start to compare to a brand new person who start up a brand new store.
What you're applying sounds like you are actually getting primary research. And from who? The people who are actually making decision to purchase your food, right? So listening out to them, understanding their needs, understanding their preference actually allows you to have this accumulation of what you can do, what you're going to do next.
Yes.
And that is speaking directly to them.
Yes.
Because they constantly change because the world is changing. And therefore, you are constantly changing.
That's right.
Constantly learning. Wow. Good. Got to remember that, Hokake. All right. The next thing I would like to ask you is, what are you looking for? What is the future that you envision for yourself as well as Guilt-Free Food?
I'll tell you something. So when I first started the store, right? So my husband and I, talk about, what's the exit plan? So he does his own business as well. So he has his own exit plan. And I go like, I want to do franchise, I want to be the next Singapore darling, in terms of the food. Just like any other, brands like Awfully Chocolate or Bengawan Solo. I said, I want to be them, I want to be one of them. It's good to have a dream, but I never really thought about the in-between process, how to reach that dream, right? So obviously to me, it's like, I will work hard, I'll work extra hard, I'll put in extra hours, so that I can reach that dream. But it's not like that. So last week, I actually attended a workshop, and one of the core thing that they were, going through is the BMC, the Business Model Canvas, and I've went through that, but this time round, it feels different because I'm at a different stage. I was different from home baking, so my home baking, obviously, my business, BMC would be. I want to go commercial, right? I want to refine my menu, in order to go commercial. But now, I am at the commercial side, and I want to go, big. That BMC becomes something new to me again. It's different from what I have worked on previously. So, mapping out the progression is important in order for me to reach that next stage. So in the last 1 week, I've given it a lot of thoughts that, so now I am at Teluk Kurau. I want to own that space in Teluk Kurau. But the next step, I want to move on, how do I go beyond, that catchment area? And once I move, beyond the catchment area, what do I do, to make sure that I can cover more, parts of Singapore? Then we can start talking about, the exit plan. At the point of time when I first started my business, I thought, this is what my exit plan. I think it's good to have a dream, very good to have, but mapping out the progression is really important.
Okay.
Yeah, and thinking it how to do it in a smarter way. Is very important. It's not about putting in extra hours, opening up 7 days a day, 7 days a week. No, that doesn't make sense. You got to work smart. You got to have rest so that you can move on in a more intelligent manner.
Sounds very, very wise.
I'm still learning.
We all are. We all are. Based on the future, right, that you're talking about having a bigger catchment in Singapore and then ultimately maybe franchising for you. What skill set or mindset would you say would be important or critical for you to achieve the future that you're envisioning?
Again, stay curious, stay open. Always hang out with the smarter people so that they can give you more advice. That's where you get, very, very good advice, insider advice. And I think that's very important. And so already last year when I decided to, I want to go commercial, I started networking. And I feel that, networking gives me so much opportunity. It allows me to listen to people who are a lot more smarter, more successful, and I try to take in as much as possible. And using this, I would call it, not sure way to win or whatsoever, but using this same concept, I'm going to, put into this level of where I am going. Be selective with the networking events because you only have that much time.
True.
When I first started, I was just, firing bullets, all around. I don't know where to go, I just go. I learn my lesson. There are certain events, maybe not so beneficial, but now I have been to a lot more networking events. Being selective,
Qualify, yeah.
That's very important because you only have that much of, time. Use it wisely.
Last but not least, not in the list of questions that I posted to you, for those females, mothers, entrepreneurs, wives out there, what would be one advice or one takeaway from your own journey that you will give to these females who are daring, who are envisioning, who wants something beyond maybe their own imagination? I'm quite sure, like when you were younger, you didn't quite envision that you will have your own commercial shop, baking out delicious cinnamon rolls that is guilt-free, is healthy, and that people will come back to you and give you 5 stars review. What would your advice be for them?
I know it sounds so cliche, know your why. Because if you don't know your why and you're trying to achieve something big and important for yourself, and you don't enjoy the process, you will probably close that project. Knowing your why and being able to enjoy that will keep you going. Yes, you may, you may not have a consistent, progression. In entrepreneurship, you will never have, a consistent progression. You will digress, you pick it up, you just go, haywire. But that's important because when you are down, because you think that you can't do everything, you are a failure for everything, knowing your why will perk you up and, able to let you to sustain why you embark this journey. So know the why and make sure that you enjoy the process.
Oh, that's so very precious. Knowing the why, plugging it in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
very
much, Joyce.
No, thank you.
It has been such a, I would say, deeply felt interview. Thank you for allowing us in, and thank you for allowing our viewers to know who truly Joyce is, and allowing me to know who Joyce is in this journey of building guilt-free
Thank
food.
you very much.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I do. Yeah.